Well, hello and welcome. I'm Barry Reisman at WWDB, and we are delighted to welcome a brand new program and a brand new program host to WWDB, and I think you are going to be fascinated and you're going to learn stuff and have some fun too. Let me introduce you to Jack Milne, who is also known as the House Whisperer. Jack, welcome to WWDB Talk 860.
Well, thank you, Barry. I really appreciate the opportunity of working with WWDB, and I love the spot. It's 2:30. It's in the afternoon. Everybody's awake, and it's right before the sports show.
Well, I hope they're awake.
Yeah, they better be. I've worked at previous stations where you have to be up before dawn, so I'm really looking forward to this opportunity to serve the Philadelphia listeners.
Well, you have so many different things that you can talk about, such a great background because of what you do. So why don't you tell our listeners besides doing this radio show every week now, what is it that you do?
Well, being a professional home inspector for 30 years, it gives me an opportunity to go out there and take a look and see how houses work. And that's why I wanted to call this segment the House Whisperer, because I can be in homes, Barry, that are new construction, 2 years old, 10 years old, or 200 years old. And every house has a story. And that's my little tagline for this episode, where every house has a story. Just a little bit about me, if I could. I've been inspecting homes since 1983. Tri-County, which is my business, has been operating since 1985, and we've served about 70,000 clients.
Wow, that's a lot of clients. That's a lot of houses.
Yeah, and that's what makes it unique, because every day is new. Every client is new. And I love being able to teach people about the properties of which they've purchased. And I'm blessed also with a great staff. Bill Kibble, who's been with me since 1986, his forte is old structures. So for him, the older the better. Pete Wilden has been with me since 2000, but he's been a professional home inspector since 1987. And Greg Thomas, he's my young guy, but he's been with me for 14 years. So anyone who comes from Tri-County for your benefit, be it a buyer or a seller, you've got someone who's qualified to help you through the process.
And before we go any further, without sponsors, you don't have a radio show. And I know that you have some really, really fine sponsors, and we'll be talking about them a little later on in the program.
Yeah, I always thank my sponsors when I first start the show, because you're absolutely right, Barry. Without an opportunity for someone to help me out, I wouldn't be able to do the show. So we work with a few companies. Bucksmont Inspections, they do professional on-site sewage evaluations. They're located in Bucks and Montgomery County. Very, very good people. Borough Exterminating is actually out of Delaware County, and they help us with their termite testing and radon testing. They're a multi-generational company, and I always want to align myself and my business with the best people I can find, so I really hope you encourage using them. Pest Blaster, they do critter control, mold testing, radon testing, and I know there's one more. And
we'll think of it.
Yeah, we'll think of it. It'll come back. And then, of course, my company, Tri-County Inspection Company, we serve 13 counties. And we go as far as Lehigh County and Hunterdon County, Warren County, but all the way far to the south as to Delaware County and Salem County. And then the last company, which I really enjoy, is a company called BrainFlushGear.com.
I love the name of that, BrainFlushGear.com.
Well,
I've been saying it in my sleep.
Yeah, they've been around for a while. It's a small company, but they do specialized T-shirts and I would call it outer gear. I hooked up with them a number of years ago, being almost a professional, but a very avid motorcyclist. So I come up with the concepts, and they come out with the T-shirts. So they've branched out into skateboard surfing, windsurfing, motocross, and have done a lot of neat ideas. So to reach out to them, they would be BrainFlushGear.com. So these are going to be some of the sponsors that you're going to be hearing on a regular basis.
And you folks who hear the commercials, these are all really great companies. Jack knows about houses and about what goes into houses and the problems, and I know that's why he selected these sponsors. But Jack, I know a little bit about you, And I want our listeners to know a little bit about you. You actually have a little bit of background in radio.
Yeah, I actually got my third-class license back in 1975 or 76. I worked at a radio station at the University of Richmond where I did my undergrad work. And back then, you had to have a license in order to be on the air. So for my time at school, I was acted as a DJ and had a chance to put on the headphones and get in front of the mic. So it's something I really enjoyed over the years.
You're back in front of the mic again with a lot of power behind you, too. And we're glad to have you here at WWDB.
Well, thank you, Barry. I really look forward to the opportunity of really assisting my listener. And before I forget, we do have an email address, which is thehousewhispershow@gmail.com. And I want to make this your show, where you can email me topics that you'd like to know a little bit more about. And I promised Barry that when I did this show, I would always forecast as to what I'm going to talk about the following week so that I can give you a heads up as to what's coming next.
Yeah, actually, this is not your first experience with the House Whisperer Show. You were on a different station, and now here you are at WWDB. And people can go to your website and listen to your previous programs.
Yes, please, if you would have that opportunity, you can go to thehousewhispershow.com. And I have about 50 or so episodes with a little bit of what we call breadcrumbs before each show. So it gives you some ideas to what the topic's about. And what I like about it is that all are not technical. There's a few that, for example, after 9/11, it was hard to get on the air and talk about houses. So I had one show called Miracles. But every show talks about some facet of new construction, old construction, remodeling, or items that will help you maintain your own property. And that's the focus of this show.
When you're not doing what you're doing right now on the air, you go out and you inspect homes. You're a home inspector. So my question is, who is it that hires you? Is it the buyer or the seller?
It can be either one, Barry. Sometimes it's an investor, or it's a flipper, as we like to call them, where people are going to buy a property. They want to know the ins and outs of that building so that they know what to invest before they want to put the house back on the market. When the market slowed down, we were representing a lot of sellers, and we were doing pre-listing inspections where, Jack, we're going to move in about 5 months, so I'd like you to come through the property and see what would be classified as we now call a material defect. And that's where negotiations stop and start, is with the material defects.
Okay, we're going to take a little break, and then I want to come back, and we're sort of whetting everybody's appetites for what is coming in the next weeks and months and what people can expect to hear. And maybe we'll get some tips from you even on today's show. You're listening to the House Whisperer Show. Jack Milne is the House Whisperer, and we'll be right back right after these very important messages.
Boro Exterminating has been specializing in wood-destroying insect inspection and control for over 40 years, serving Philadelphia and the surrounding counties. All inspectors are state certified and ensure providing their clients with professional inspections and treatments. Boro not only performs conventional termite treatments, but also handles special services like historic buildings and homes with wells, creeks, or ponds. The client is assured that all treatments will be performed safely when you hire Boro to do the work. They also provide radon testing in their service area. Boro's full-time office staff is available to help you schedule an appointment. Just call 610-586-5640 or send an email request to boroinspects@verizon.net. That's 610-586-5640 or email at boroinspects@verizon.net.
Specially created t-shirts by BrainFlushGear.com offer the extreme sports enthusiast an opportunity to have a clothing line available that suits their sport. BrainFlushGear.com understands that when we get the moment where we can jump on our motorcycles, wave runners, surfboards, snowmobiles, or skateboards, it can be priceless. They offer custom artwork including silk screening, transfers, and embroidery. Speak to one of their consultants today and they'll help you create your own Brain Flush. Visit BrainFlushGear.com or email them at contact@BrainFlushGear.com.
For your septic inspection and testing needs, please consider Bucksmont Inspections. They've been serving the Bucks and Montgomery County areas for over 15 years. As members of the Pennsylvania Septic Management Association, the Pennsylvania Association of Sewage Enforcement Officers, and the Pennsylvania Association for Professional Soil Scientists, Bucksmont Inspections can inspect your existing septic system or test for your new septic system placement. Please call Rob Bowie at 215-669-4213 and say you heard their ad on the House Whisperer Show.
As the weather gets cooler and the temperatures drop, the bugs might slow down, but the rodents don't stop. Mice and rats begin to invade homes during the fall and winter months, looking for food, warmth, and a comfortable place to nest. Don't wait for pesky rodents to invade your home. Fight back. Have your home baited and ready for their attack with Pest Blaster. Whether preventative or a full-blown infestation, give Pest Blaster a call at 215-295-5555 and they can discuss the solution to your problem. They also offer humane animal removal services for a wide variety of wild animals, damage repairs, and cleanups. Call them today at 215-295-5555 or check them out at pestblaster.com, servicing both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Pest Blaster, 215-295-5555 or pestblaster.com for all your pest control needs.
Tri-County Inspection Company has been providing professional home inspections, commercial inspections, and historic property evaluations for over 25 years. Tri-County Inspection Company covers 13 counties, serving both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. They've performed inspections for over 70,000 clients and are members of the American Society of Home Inspectors, as well as the Pennsylvania Home Inspectors Coalition. They're licensed in both Pennsylvania and New Jersey. For all of your real estate transactions, call Tri-County Inspections at 215-295-2030. For their New Jersey clientele, call 856-853-4224. In PA, call 215-295-2030. In New Jersey, 856-853-4224.
We are back with Jack Milne, the House Whisperer. And where did you come up with that name, by the way?
Well, I saw a movie a few years ago with Robert Redford, who was the Horse Whisperer.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought it was a pretty cool acronym. So, and again, as the tagline says, every house has a story. So as I go in as a home inspector, the house almost relates back to me. And then I, in turn, have to let the client know, basically what they're buying.
It makes a lot of sense, especially if you're buying... I don't know about buying a new house. Maybe you can talk about that. But if you're buying a used house, whether it's a year old or 50 years old, makes a lot of sense to have a guy like Jack Milne come in and check it out. And you might find things, you see things that I won't see, don't you?
Well, that's very true. I mean, new construction, I would still urge a home inspection because people think that because the builder's building it and because the code official stopped in to take a look at it, you really have no ally in your pocket or over your shoulder that's looking out for your best interests. And if you forget to do a home inspection at settlement, you can always do a one-year warranty inspection where a professional home inspector comes in at the 11th hour, and then they come in and they can generate a builder's list of which you present to that builder in the 12th hour. So you can still protect your assets. And I think that's the whole onus behind a home inspector, is to monitor your assets.
Yeah, actually, now that you mention it, I've read some articles in the paper about new construction that was a disaster for the homeowners, and things. They had flooding and they had all kinds of problems, and that's what you put your special X-ray vision glasses on, don't you?
Well, I still don't have the X-ray vision glasses, but there's a lot of good subtle hints. And but again, as the property gets older and goes through more and more owners/sellers, the houses become a puzzle. And you have to be able to take the puzzle apart and reformat it in a way that you as a new home buyer understand all the pieces of the puzzle and how they work. And we also try to protect your future a little bit or plan your future. For example, I was at a house the other day that had 100 amp service with an older seller. Well, the client said to me, Jack, what would it cost if I wanted to update the service to 200 amps? So we spoke about that. And I think as a home inspector, you have to have a very good bedside manner. We're considered like a general practitioner where you're going to get a physical once a year. What a home inspector does is give a physical too. And at that time, it's all about how it's presented. But, Barry, what's most important, too, is how that information is relayed back to the client.
Uh-huh. What are some of the things that you're going to be talking about on future shows?
Well, I think everything's timely. One is the market. Two, in 2 weeks, I want to talk about Pico smart meters because everyone's starting to have those put on their homes.
Oh, I keep getting mail from, I'm in New Jersey, so it's PSE&G.
Yeah, they're doing it nationwide, and they're going to actually start charging you different hours and different rates depending on your use. So that's a very important topic. Next week, I want to talk on rain and mold because this past summer, I mean, we just got creamed.
Oh my God, what a summer!
So, when we have this combination of heat, rain, and saturated soils, it's just it's a conduit for mold. So, again, I want to talk on topics that affect us every day as we live within our homes, how to maintain our homes, but also how to properly buy real estate.
Well, there's a lot to learn, and you're putting a lot of money out of your pocket when you buy a new home. I guess the same thing applies to a condominium. An apartment you're renting, so it doesn't matter. I guess, but a condominium, I guess, same thing.
Well, absolutely. Condo you own just as much as you would, the mansion out in Balakin would. Yeah. So you still have the same issues as far as maintenance, life expectancies, and how to get the best out of the buck.
What areas, Jack Milne, do you cover geographically? Somebody's listening to it. We go all over the world with the internet, but I know you're not. Somebody's listening to you in Europe. You're not going to. Well, if they pay you, I guess you'll go. But for the most part,
hey, I'll fly anywhere.
Right, I'll go with you.
But we cover 13 counties in and around Philadelphia. So. Again,
does it include New Jersey?
And absolutely New Jersey. All of my inspectors are licensed New Jersey inspectors. We also have to be licensed in the city of Philadelphia, which we are. And I'm proud to say, Barry, I helped them actually write their home inspection law in 2003.
No kidding.
So I'm actually the very first Philadelphia licensed inspector.
I just want to mention this because people don't know. They don't know Jack Milne. They don't know the House Whisperer. Some people do. 70,000 people do. But he's not a one-man guy. He's got a whole office. He's got a beautiful conference room. He's got a staff. So you're not just a guy working out at the back of your truck, right?
Absolutely, and that's what you have to be careful of in this profession because as I tell clients who are not sure about fee structures and how things work, there's two parts of a home inspection. One is the knowledge of the inspector. But I think almost as important is how that information is relayed back to the client because you are counting on these findings to be used for negotiating purposes. So don't always go for the cheapest because sometimes, as the old adage says, you get what you pay for.
How does that work? I know you can't get into specific dollars and cents because it depends. But how does your fee work? Is it on the size of the house, where it's located, or what do you base it on?
Well, we at Tri-County base it on a few things. One, of course, is age, because age really will be time dependent.
Ah.
So if you're a 200-year-old...
You don't mean the age of the person. You mean the age of the house.
Well, yes, yeah, that's true. But if it's a 200-year-old farmhouse with stables, barns, horse rings, of which we've done, I mean, that might be a full-day inspection. But we also look at square footage, and we also look at purchase price. And people ask me, why do we look at purchase price? And I think it's almost the same adage like buying a car. You know, if you're going to buy a Toyota, insurance is generally cheaper than if you're going to buy that Mercedes. So that's how the insurance companies look at home inspectors to determine their rates. But, Barry, I do want to back up 1 second, and I did mention about being licensed in the city of Philadelphia, but keep in mind that outside that county, there is no licensing requirement.
No kidding.
I'm serious as a stone.
Outside of Philadelphia, there's no licensing requirement. Wow. Why is that?
Well, because we actually strive for 12 years to become licensed. In fact, I was the president and founder of the Pennsylvania Home Inspectors Coalition. So I became really the voice of the home inspector here in Pennsylvania. And we had lobbyists. I worked with Senator Greenleaf and a bunch of the senators around the state. Actually, being accused of a lobbyist, I spent so much time in Harrisburg. But they actually found that, the home inspectors in general were doing a pretty good job. And as you can find out through all the news today, Pennsylvania has no money. So they didn't have a board of which to put us under. We got rejected by the engineers, architects, and land surveyors. We didn't want to work with the realtors, and nothing personal against the realtors, but we do have to remain independent. We need that independent voice. The only ones that did accept us were the funeral directors.
Oh, really?
Isn't that nice? And I know we've been known to kill a deal every once in a while.
Yeah.
But bottom line is we've been tabled. So keep that in mind that we use the term compliant, that we do follow the letter of the law, and the law has actually been on the books since 2001. So the law is 12 years old. But there's no gods who look down on us home inspectors to see what kind of job we do.
All right, I tell you what, we are time is flying, but why don't you give us your contact information if somebody wants to get a hold of Jack Milne, if they're buying a house, if they're selling a house, if they're investing, you will come out and you'll give them some good advice. You'll give it the good look over.
Well, really, Barry, what I enjoy doing is I love teaching. And at the same time, trying to plan people's future. But at the end of the inspection, I actually do walk away. But it's my job is to make sure that clients go in eyes wide open and that I can give them as much information not only about today's home, but how to plan their future. And I think that's what makes a good home inspector.
So how do they get in touch with you?
Well, we have a bunch of different numbers depending on areas, but our But our primary number is 215-295-2030. In New Jersey, 856-853-4224. If you're in the Malvern area, 610-296-2004. And, of course, visit our website, which is tcinspect.com.
tcinspect.com.
And as I mentioned earlier, Barry, in the segment, I'd love to hear from you. And so if you go to the House Whisperer Show at gmail.com, please send me a note because I always have a segment on the air that talks about we call it the email box.
Okay, stand by, everybody. We'll be right back.
Our house is a very, very, very fine house.
As the weather gets cooler and the temperatures drop, the bugs might slow down, but the rodents don't stop. Mice and rats begin to invade homes during the fall and winter months, looking for food, warmth, and a comfortable place to nest. Don't wait for pesky rodents to invade your home. Fight back. Have your home baited and ready for their attack with Pest Blaster. Whether preventative or a full-blown infestation, give Pest Blaster a call at 215-295-5555 and they can discuss the solution to your problem. They also offer humane animal removal services for a wide variety of wild animals, damage repairs, and cleanups. Call them today at 215-295-5555 or check them out at pestblaster.com, servicing both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Pest Blaster, 215-295-5555 or pestblaster.com for all your pest control needs.
Tri-County Inspection Company has been providing professional home inspections, commercial inspections, and historic property evaluations for over 25 years. Tri-County Inspection Company covers 13 counties, serving both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. They've performed inspections for over 70,000 clients and are members of the American Society of Home Inspectors, as well as the Pennsylvania Home Inspectors Coalition. They're licensed in both Pennsylvania and New Jersey. For all of your real estate transactions, call Tri-County Inspections at 215-295-2030. For their New Jersey clientele, call 856-853-4224. In PA, call 215-295-2030. In New Jersey, 856-853-4224.
Specially created t-shirts by BrainFlushGear.com offer the extreme sports enthusiast an opportunity to have a clothing line available that suits their sport. BrainFlushGear.com understands that when we get the moment where we can jump on our motorcycles, wave runners, surfboards, snowmobiles, or skateboards, it can be priceless. They offer custom artwork including silk screening, transfers, and embroidery. Speak to one of their consultants today, and they'll help you create your own Brain Flush. Visit BrainFlushGear.com or email them at contact@BrainFlushGear.com.
You have a few seconds left. What are we going to be talking about next week?
Next week, we're going to talk about this segment on rain and mold. And can we tell if you have mold, how will you know, how can you correct it? And the best way to put that first step forward to make sure you don't get mold again in the future.
All right, Jack, time is gone. You want to just say goodbye?
Well, as it is Sunday, as I always sign off, please spend time with friends and family. And I look forward to seeing you next week on The House Whisperer.
Life used to be so